Hello, everybody. We're so excited to be here with you today. I am joined today by Rodolfo. Hey, Rodolfo.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. We've had Rodolfo on our show several times. So if you haven't been formally introduced to him yet, we're going to be doing that here shortly. You're going to love him. Fell in love with Rodolfo right off the first bat of meeting him. And if you guys are new to our platform, do a short little introduction too of myself. So my name is Brenda, and I work with ProCare as a nurse consultant. And we do these live events every week, and we do monthly support groups. And so I also had bariatric surgery back in the day. So try to bring little pieces that has helped me. And as far as Rodolfo here today, we're going to be talking about setting boundaries and stop being a people pleaser. And I feel like for anybody who is kind of like authentic, brought up, in a family community, a lot of times there's a lot of dynamics that go into forming our personalities, forming our behaviors. And I feel like this could be a huge topic for a lot of people. So I'm really excited, Rodolfo, to have you here. So that being said, I'm just going to kind of turn things over to you and kind of let you talk a little bit here.
Excellent. Yes. So, welcome to this live broadcast. As Brenda was saying, my name is Rodolfo Alvarez. I'm a wellness coach. I'm from Chile, and I'm currently living in Florida, in Miami. Actually, I moved 3 months ago. And my work started as a coach in Chile. I set up a wellness center. And at that point, the focus of my programs was to support people to create a healthy and balanced relationship with food. My country had critical rates of overweight, and with a group of entrepreneurs, we wanted to find a solution to do something to change that reality. And we knew the importance of managing emotion, of transforming the mindset. So we started with that program, and with time, the programs that I've been offering have been changed like topics, right? So I've been working on sex life, anxiety management, mindfulness, and one of the topics that I love, because it's something that I've been noticing in different groups of people that I work with, is the topic of being a people pleaser. And when I say being a people pleaser, what I mean is forgetting that we have needs and putting other people's needs over us, right? And it's interesting because I've seen this pattern since I've been working in weight loss. And it's a pattern that now moving to the US and helping the bariatric community, I've seen a lot, a lot. And to me, that makes sense. And I would like to delve into why. Okay. I feel that there's a point in our lives, and I will include myself because I've been struggling with my weight since I was a kid, in which we felt that there was a threat, that we were not safe, that our relationships were not the way we wished, you know? And in that moment, we learned to put other people's needs first. And I think that there's an illusion underneath of this pattern, which is if I make them happy, if I make others happy, right, then everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be okay, and they are going to love me. And I think that we start reinforcing this type of relationship, this type of dynamics. And then in the long run, we find ourselves not paying attention to our needs, not knowing what's happening with us, and trying to make other people's happy, right? Which is aligned with overweight. Because in order to be overweight, typically what needs to happen is that we don't listen to our bodies. We confuse, for example, emotions with hunger, etc. Right? So the focus of this topic today and this broadcast would be to start connecting to our needs and learning to put our needs first and setting boundaries.
I
That's
love
that's
that.
like the introduction.
Yes. No, that's perfect. And I feel like for myself, this kind of resonates really strongly too. Some of my background is I mentioned nursing, and I worked in a busy emergency department for about 20 years. And for whatever reason, I think it's around this topic. I've had this reoccurring dream of like being in a work environment in an emergency room, and like going into room to room to room, and I have all of these things that I got to do. You guys can imagine being in a hospital setting. In that setting, a lot of people have needs that need to be taken care of like immediately, like it can't wait kind of thing.
Right.
And yeah, and so I'd have this reoccurring dream, and it's like I had my own kind of, like, I want to call it to-do list of things that I knew I needed to get done. But I was going room to room to room and helping all these other people. And I think really and truly because it was, I mean, our dreams are just kind of subconscious, sometimes conscious thoughts of and emotions that come up and are kind of bringing them to awareness, especially if you remember your dreams. And I think that was it. I mean, I think it's like kind of been for me, like something that I've always kind of like wanted to help other people, but sometimes in compromise of myself, like you said.
hmm hmm And that's how it works. And underneath of that, what is interesting to explore is like the development of the pattern, the development of that pattern. And typically it starts when we were teenagers, when we're kids, when there's like a lack of something, a lack of love, or we felt that we didn't have the affection that we were needing, right? So the mechanism is to start finding that outside. And the way that we tend to do that is trying to please others. So the illusion is if they are happy, right, then everything is going to be fine and I'm going to be loved. And in the long run, of course, that makes us pay a high price, you know, because we end up neglecting our own needs and putting others' needs. And it's interesting how you share your dream. And I always like think about like nurses and those type of like professions or like jobs that are related to taking care of others, I see in those like groups of people a lot of burnout, like neglecting their own needs, and the system promotes that too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you work taking care of others, I think that this is a pattern that you need to take care of, actually, because if not, you will experience burnout because it never ends. You can like in your dream, like you have all these rooms that you can go to, and there's people needing you, and you can continue doing this forever. Like you can always take care of more people in life, right?
Yeah.
Until there's a moment in which like you can't, you're burnout, like it's not feasible.
And sometimes would you say that for me, like sometimes it's like feeling selfish for doing like taking care of yourself first. I don't know where we're taught that. I mean, somehow that became a belief of mine, but it's not true because you've taken care of yourself and the higher your own energy levels are, the higher that your own happiness level is, the more that you're able to give to other people. What would you say about that?
I agree 100%. Actually, if you want to help others, you need to help yourself first. How are you going to give something that you don't have? Right? Like, if I want to take care of my kids or anything, I need to have energy. If I don't have energy, then, like, in the process, I'm going to struggle and probably I will not be able to develop what I have to develop.
It's kind of like
Yes.
when you get on the airplane and they say, put your own mask on
Your
first,
mask.
before.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So, Brenda, I have a presentation. Let me check. Let me check if I can share it. Give me one
Sure.
second, please.
And we have several people joining us, not only on our Crowdcast channel, but also on our Facebook channel. So I want to say hello to everybody that's here. We have several surgical facilities that are now sharing this information. So if you're from a surgical facility where you've seen this information, say hello. If you're one of our
Yes.
tried and true people that's joined us on Crowdcast before. If you're from Berry Nation, we have a whole Berry Nation community that now joins us on these. Rodolfo's part of that. He actually, I saw that you're giving a topic this evening too.
Yes, I have a workshop on time management, actually. Yeah.
Another wonderful, wonderful topic. So
Yeah.
regardless of where you guys are coming from, just say hello. Let us know where you heard about us, and Rodolfo, I'm gonna actually mute myself while you're kind of giving part of this presentation. If I need to talk, I'll unmute myself just so that they can hear you really well.
Yes, excellent, great. So I would like to discuss something which is the following. I think that lots of us have been taught to be nice, okay, since we are kids, since our childhood. And I think that being nice is related to saying yes, not complaining. If something is bothering you, you don't have to communicate that. You need to agree to do things that maybe you don't want to, etc. And I feel that as a society, being nice has like a good meaning. Like if you are nice, that's something good. That could be a virtue that you have, right? And what is interesting to me is that sometimes being nice is associated to not being authentic, to not being genuine. And if you identify yourself as a people pleaser, I would like to start changing that meaning. Actually, maybe in your case, being nice is not something that you would like to keep doing, right? Maybe it's time today in your life to start speaking loud, voicing your needs, communicating what you want, setting boundaries. And probably at the beginning, for some people, that's going to be something that they are going to resist because maybe they have been trained, right, to see a version of yourself, which is someone that says yes to everything. And now they will find someone that maybe set boundaries. And that's going to generate a sense of pain, or maybe for them it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's natural to happen. But the interesting thing is that in our society, being nice is perceived as something good. And if you are nice all the time, meaning if you are not authentic all the time, you will pay a price, and you will pay a high price, right? Actually, I would like to share a little about my story as a way to open up a space of reflection. Since I was a kid, I struggled with my weight, okay? And I was bullied at school a lot, a lot. I was like the fat kid. Like they made fun of me, and I struggled a lot with that. And I think that as a mechanism to protect myself and to be safe, I started being the person that helped others. That's who I defined myself, that I was. Interesting. It's interesting that today I'm a coach and I help others, right? Actually, I work doing that, and it's something that I love and I enjoy. But at the beginning, this behavior started as a self defense mechanism. So I was the friend that I was always there for other people. I was paying attention to their needs. I taught other people, I don't know, maths or different skills that they didn't have. I was that person, right? And I found myself lots of times feeling that I was alone because actually I felt that I was receiving something from them, but that didn't feel good. And inside of me, that didn't feel good because I knew that I was receiving something because I did something. It was an exchange. So I was receiving love, but I was receiving that love because I was helping them. And that's why I feel that if you're a people pleaser, you will struggle, because you will pay attention to other people's needs and focus on them. You will not focus on yourself. And then what you will receive is not going to satisfy you, because you will know that you had to do something in order to receive that. Does that make sense? So it's okay to want to help others. It's okay to take care of others, right? The problem starts happening when we do that and we neglect our own needs. And that's the point that you need to identify, right? If you want to give love to your kids, to your children, to your partner, to your friends, that's totally fine. The point is, are you doing that because you want to do that and that makes you happy? Or are you doing that because you feel that if you do that, then you're going to be loved? And you're trying to use that as a way of an exchange.
Rodolfo, I have one thing to say too.
Yes.
I feel like, would you say too that sometimes, like, if we just keep ignoring, like I found this for myself, if you just keep ignoring your own instincts. Like something keeps coming up within you, and you um it's maybe a feeling you have, or like you said, not really being your authentic self, and you keep pushing it back down, and you're trying to be quiet because you're trying to be nice, but then all at once it's like it keeps building, and it's like a pressure point, kind of like if you think about a
Yes.
pot boiling, kind of like a pressure cooker, for example, where the little knob is just kind of up here, just kind of jiggling, and then all at once it's something very minor. This happened to me before, and that's why I'm kind of bringing it up. Something extremely minor that somebody says or does that triggers you, and it's like you cannot be nice anymore, and it's just like, whoa. Whereas if you would have just like handled whatever it was in the beginning and maybe had a conversation, being authentic, you can be nice about it, but be very direct, like, maybe call someone out or do whatever if
Yes,
something's
setting
making you feel
boundaries.
uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so, at some point, if you don't listen, I feel like sometimes it's much worse, because then all at once it just kind of comes to a point where it becomes uncomfortable. And then you don't, maybe your response is not what you would have liked for it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, we're going to talk about resentment in a while, right? And
Yeah.
how when we don't communicate our needs, what we want, etc., then that doesn't feel good. And it's something that we start storing inside of us, right? It's stored inside of us, and it's accumulating. And then, of course, that bursts. So, yeah, we will delve into that in a while. Thanks for sharing that. So, let's continue. And I would like to explore different mechanisms to minimize disapproval or rejection from others. Okay. Why I love this section of this workshop? Because I feel that sometimes those mechanisms are very subtle. So I want you to start identifying them and being aware of them. Okay. So, first of all, a mechanism could be hesitating. Someone asks you if you want something, if you want to do something, and you don't know what to do. And maybe you don't know what to do because you feel that if you decide, then the other people are not going to be happy with your choice. So hesitating could be one mechanism. Then we have overthinking, right? So I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say that, in which specific moment, because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to hurt other people's feelings. That could be another way. Then we have, for example, not interrupting. Someone is talking to me, is saying something, and then there's something that I clearly need to communicate that is wrong, that is not working, and I don't say anything because I want the other person to feel good. I understand that we don't interrupt others because we are polite, right? I understand that. But this is about something that you need to say, which is relevant, that you don't allow yourself because you don't want to generate a negative reaction. Okay? Um, then we have smiling all the time, like pretend that everything is going well, that everything is working, when in reality it's not. And maybe inside you're experiencing an emotion that is really, really uncomfortable. Then we have a reaction laugh. Someone says something and you laugh like very fast and you stop laughing because you're testing out if you need to laugh or what was expected from you. Okay. Then we have agreeing when actually you disagree, maybe, right? But you say that you agree because you don't want to generate conflict. That could be another option. Holding back, not putting yourself first, not communicating your needs, right? Allowing others to put their needs first. And then lying could be another option, right? When I say lying, I don't want you to think that I mean that you are a liar, because that's not the case. This could be like little subtle lies. Like, for example, you go to a birthday, you're following a diet that was the diet that your dietitian gave you, given your bariatric journey, for example. You go to this event and someone offers you something, and the person asks you, can you have this? And you say, like, oh, yes, I can have a little, and maybe you can't, right? So It could be those types of lies, like little lies in order to be accepted, belong, be a part of a group of people, right? So I would like to ask you, what are the mechanisms that you use to minimize disapproval? Okay. I think that this workshop, this class in particular, is a class related to exploring your patterns, how they manifest. So I would like to hear from you. If you want, you can type your social patterns to minimize disapproval by the chat, because I feel that we all have these mechanisms. And sometimes we operate from them unconsciously. Sometimes I get together with someone and I smile and I'm like happy all the time when actually I'm not feeling that way. And maybe I do that because since I was a kid, I've been used to act that way, right? I don't want to generate conflict. I don't want to be the one that is like, I don't know, like not having good vibes, etc. So I would like to hear from you.
So there is some comments, and Rodolfo, that to me is probably one of the top things for me is a peace, like my personality is kind of like a peacemaker. I do not, I found that I don't like conflict. I don't like to have, I don't like to see other people unhappy, regardless if that's from like a standpoint of being my problem or their problem. I just don't like seeing other people unhappy. So sometimes it's about like putting yourself out there just for that. It looks like Lindsay says, I've always been a people pleaser. It's exhausting. And then on our Facebook side, we have we're joined by several people. Stacy says, she says she agrees. We can't let things build up. And also that basically there's several others that are agreeing. Allie says we're a work in progress. Yolanda says this is so me. So other people are agreeing. I think part of it too, emotionally, maybe part of that is why people become overweight, because we hold things in, and everything is energy. You know, like if you're holding in your emotions and you're trying to bring them down, sometimes we eat to bring our emotions down. Do you know what I mean? Like we're
Totally.
trying to,
Yes, yes, yes. If you're covering your emotion, you need to cover the emotion in a specific way. And eating is a way that works. Actually, if we are experiencing anxiety, angst, or we're stressed, or any emotion that could be like labeled as a negative emotion, if we eat, we will disconnect from that emotion for a while very fast. So it's a mechanism that works. And the other thing is that if we are following or not following, if we're paying attention to other people's needs and we disconnect from our needs, of course, we are not going to understand what's going on inside of us. So if I want to eat something, I will not be paying attention to my body. And I will not know if I want to eat because I'm hungry, or maybe I want to eat because I'm experiencing anxiety. And then all these patterns starts being automated and turned into habits. So we do them unconsciously.
yes.
That
Aranda says from Facebook, she said, this is so me. We want to feel that we fit in. And then Lindsay said, this is a great topic. She said, you become resentful, then it builds up and then you just explode. So they're like agreeing.
yes,
And
Lindsay. Yes,
yeah.
actually, Lindsay, I will delve into that in a while about resentment. Yes, yes. So I would like to continue. And please, if you have any questions, let me know, because remember that it's for you guys, okay? I want you to create value and start breaking with this pattern today. So, being nice sometimes sounds very attractive, right? Sounds very attractive. And as I told you, we were raised thinking that that was the correct way to be. But actually, it makes us pay a lot of prices. And I would like to discuss those prices with you. So, first of all, you experience a lot of anxiety. Why? Because you are trying to be nice because there's something that you are thinking that you need to get in exchange, right? So, I want to be nice because if I'm nice, this relationship is going to work. I'm going to be nice because if I'm nice, these people are going to love me. They will love me, right? And not having the security and the safety, of course, will make you feel anxious. So that's one of the consequences. Then, as we discussed, and as Lindsay mentioned and Brenda mentioned, there's resentment that we start storing. And that resentment is inside of us. And of course, in the long run, that will impact on our relationships. That will have a huge impact. And in some moments that maybe we're having a little fight, a little argument, I'm going to collapse, right? And all that resentment will like emerge. It's likely that for being nice, I will experience physical pain. Why? Because I will take off other people's needs and I'm going to forget my own needs. So, for example, maybe I will not sleep well, but I will take care of others and I'll be focused on their needs. Okay? Then I will experience a sense of powerlessness. Why? Because other people will have the power of my life, right? As I will want to make them happy, I will do what they want. So at the end, I will not have my own power. And the last cost, which I think is really, really important, is that there's going to be a sense of isolation. As I told you, the illusion is to get something, to get loved, to get loved, to be loved. That's the illusion of this pattern of pleasing others. And this feels as an exchange. We need to do things, we need to take care, and then we will be loved. And of course, that's not how real love feels. So we will never feel full of that love. It's never going to be enough. And actually, we will be asking ourselves if the relationships that we have are real. So it's interesting because you could be helping others, taking care of others, being surrounded by others, but then inside you will feel that you're alone. That maybe you don't have these people, that maybe you can't rely on them. That they rely on you, but you can't rely on them, and that's going to be a huge price.
I'm almost wondering like how authentic, like if you're not your authentic self, people really don't know you. So it's very hard for them to really love the real you whenever you're not showing them the real you.
Exactly, exactly. So sometimes what could happen is that they love an illusion of you, right? And that's how this sense of isolation starts getting like higher, bigger, right? Yeah. So why I'm mentioning and why I'm like pointing all these costs, because I think that is relevant to start being aware of the impact of this pattern. Sometimes the pattern can like be attractive, right? We can think that being nice or being a people pleaser could be something that works, but in the long run, you will pay all these prices, right? And it's not going to feel good. You will experience anxiety, resentment, physical pain, powerlessness, isolation. So there's a moment in which you're going to give up and that this is not going to be like sustainable anymore. That's what I need to say. Okay? So let's continue. What's the illusion of a person that is a people pleaser that is seeking approval? That no one will have negative thoughts about them, that no one will feel negative emotions related to them, and no one will demonstrate any nonverbal sign of disapproval. That's the illusion. Okay? So basically, everyone is going to be happy with me. Why? Because if they are happy, then they will love me. That's the illusion of the mind. And why I'm saying this? Because we need to understand that if people are happy with me, that doesn't mean that they love me. But there's like in the mind a confusion in terms of meanings. Some people feel that being approved is to be loved, to not be rejected is to be loved, that love is taking care of others. And love is not necessarily that. And I think that one of the lessons of this workshop is to start exploring what does to be loved mean actually. What is love? That is something that we need to discuss. In the mind of a people pleaser, love is related to being accepted. And there are a lot of cases in which people can love you, but they don't accept you. Actually, my parents, for example, a lot of times rejected me and didn't like my behavior. Actually, they punished me, right? But they love me. So sometimes we can love people and disagree with them. We can love people and we can judge them, right? And those concepts need to be cleaned up, I would say, inside of the mind of a people pleaser. How do we start being people pleasers? As I told you, probably we experience fear at some point at some point of our lives. Maybe when I was a kid, I shared with you my case. I was bullied at school, right? I was rejected. And the self-defensory mechanism that I developed was to take care of others. And my illusion was that if I took care of others, then I would be safe, right? And that never happened because I was pleasing others, taking care of their needs, etc. But at the end, I felt that I wasn't safe. It was never enough. And that's one of the things of being a people pleaser. There are always more things that you can do. Always. It's like a vicious cycle because you do something to please another person and then that person seems to be happy, but then there's something else that you can do. And as I told you, this type of love that is an exchange doesn't feel as real love. So then you need to keep going. And there's a part of you that's going to be or feel empty. Okay? Brenda, am I being clear? I would like to know because I think that I've been talking a lot and I want to check.
No, I mean, yes, I think you are being very clear, just kind of listening in and um, helping to understand this more. I think, too, for those people that are out there, what would you say about what would your viewpoint be about like why is it as being a coach and helping people through these things when you're helping someone through something and you're kind of bringing really strong awareness to something, maybe it's something like this, being a people pleaser, how would you say that affects your life long term? How does that affect your daily decisions? How does that affect like basically almost everything you do? Like, can you tell me, like, bringing awareness to this specific thing of people pleasing, how can this change their life?
Um, okay, so I think that there's a generalized neglect, right? Like that's how I feel that that affects people. You were asking the question to me, right?
Yes, I was curious on your
Okay.
viewpoint, like what you
Yes,
think,
yes.
like by
So
healing something, does it healing something, how would that affect somebody in like this whole when we're talking about people pleasing, if you heal that?
right. Okay. So as I told you, like someone that is a people pleaser typically neglects its own needs, right? And when I say that, that could manifest as, for example, not taking care of my eating habits. It could be an example. It could be being in relationships in which I don't want to be, right? Being a part of toxic relationships, not setting boundaries, not communicating my needs, right? Creating codependent relationships. It could be, for example, being in a job that is not the job that I want to, and I'm there because I need to help others, or I'm there because for others it's important for me to be there. So what I observe is that they are living a life which is not the life that they want, is the life that maybe others want for them, right? And the interesting thing is that when you break the pattern, everything starts changing. The dynamic of your relationships, you will start communicating to other people what you need, you will set boundaries, maybe you will not tolerate a specific type of behaviors, maybe you will ask yourself, what do I want to do with my life? I've seen people, for example, that were working in a job and then they started with their own business because they connected with the things that they really and truly wanted, right? And inside of the mind of a people pleaser, sometimes that is not feasible because the focus is other people, not me, not what I want, not what I need, right? So what I can tell you is that like removing this pattern could open up lots of doors and have an impact that is not just related to relationships. It could be related to you doing the things that you want in your life professionally, in terms of personal projects, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's endless. Like, I feel like it's almost a form of self love to me, like to be authentic and to be accepting, because it's really not anybody else's acceptance that we're really looking for. When you really look at it, wouldn't you say it could be your own acceptance of yourself? Like, when you accept yourself, you don't need acceptance from other people.
Totally, totally. Yeah, yeah. And what you said is interesting related to self-care because I think that there's an opportunity related to listening to your needs. And when I say listening to your needs, what I mean is the following. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I'm experiencing anxiety, I need to do something to manage this emotion. I have a lot of clients that have been experiencing anxiety for years and they haven't do something to take action and manage that emotion, right? So I think that the possibility is to put yourself in the first position in your life. That's the possibility. And with that, taking care of different aspects that maybe you have been neglecting. That's the possibility, which is huge because self-care is enormous. Like there are a lot of things that you can do, right? Working out, like maybe starting friendships, maybe like dating, creating a new relationship, right? Um, there's people that, for example, think that like the relationship will never work, that they will be always be in toxic relationships, and that's not true. Of course, if you start breaking with the pattern, then the possibility to create new relationship dynamics will emerge. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Just listening.
Excellent. So let's continue. Um, and now I would like to share some keys to set effective boundaries. Okay. Because I know that we have been analyzing this pattern. The people that are here with us, our attendees, have been exploring how we have some different mechanisms to get people approval. And now I would like to start giving you, some tools to make change, okay, and start setting boundaries. And the first one is to determine the limit between generosity and selfishness. A lot of time when someone asks us to do something, we don't know if we need to say yes or if we need to say no. It's something that maybe could be confusing. And sometimes we think, well, but I should say yes because I don't want to be selfish. I want to be generous. This person is a good person, etc. Okay. And a lot of my clients that have been struggling being people pleasers have the challenge to decide when to say no and when to say yes, right? So, what I tell them as advice, what I give them as advice at the beginning is to connect to their bodies. And if someone is asking them to do something and they are not sure, connect to their guts and listen to your body. And listen if your choice will make you feel good. If your choice makes you feel good, right? If your choice makes you feel good, that's a good choice. If your choice makes you feel with some pain and your body is resisting it, I would suggest you to not take action and not decide that. I feel that our body knows when something is not working, when we should not accept something, etc. Our bodies communicate that to us. But sometimes we prefer to disconnect from our bodies to don't pay attention to them, right? And then we struggle. So my suggestion is going to be to, in those moments, listen to your body and come up with an answer that makes you feel good physically. Then, if you don't know, if you are not clear, you don't have to give an answer immediately. You can just take your time and say and communicate to that person, and maybe tomorrow you will have an answer and you will think about that. But the point is to not like push or force yourself to say yes to things that you don't want to do. That's the beginning. Okay? So if you don't know, if you're confused, connect to your body. Listen to your body. Your body knows. That's the first key. Then, yes, sorry.
Rodolfo, but
Brenda.
well, I just wanted to catch it before you went on to the next slide. I don't know if this is
No, please. Please.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just like looking at your list here, and I don't know if you're going one by one, but this stop taking ownership of other people's reactions. To me, that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with because for someone like each of us have different personality types. And for me, I can really feel other people's emotions really strongly. I mean,
Hmm.
like, feel them. And some people call it empathy, and it can be a good trait. It also can work negatively towards us. So if I'm like for example, my husband, maybe let's say he is coming in the room and he's having a bad morning and he's pushing things around, maybe he's just things aren't going his way. I can feel that, and it makes me feel so incredibly uncomfortable. It makes me feel like, and this is something that I've had to really work on. It makes me feel like I've done something wrong and that I'm not doing whatever I need to do because I don't like that uneasiness feeling. I'm actually feeling his feelings, but I'm contributing, I'm it's making it feel like it's a reaction of him to me when it's actually just him being off, him having a bad day. So, anyways, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no. So first of all, I would like to say that we will cover the whole list step by step, right? So we're in step one, and I will talk about that in a while, Brenda, and I will give you some tips to manage your emotions, okay? When you connect to other people's emotions too. Thanks for sharing that. Um, the second point to define or set effective boundaries is to discover your values. Okay, what do I mean when I say discover your values? We as humans have different values. Okay, actually, what you can see in the screen right now is a list of values. When I say value, what I mean is a list of the things that we value. Okay, and for example, what I value as a person is personal growth. I value honesty. In terms of a friendship, I value having the capacity to trust on others. Maybe I could value responsibility, etc. So, what I've been noticing in people pleasers is that they don't know their values. They don't know the list of their values. And for example, when they want to find a partner, right, they start dating, but they date with a person that is in front of them, which is the possibility or the option that appears in the space. But they don't check if their values match with the values of the other person. Okay? So, if you identify yourself as a people pleaser, one of the assignments that you will have after this workshop, this class, is to make a list, write a list with your values. That's the beginning. Why? Because if then you're related to people that don't share your values, that's a reason, right, to set boundaries. And you can say, you know what, like today, one of my values is honesty. And I feel that this relationship is not meeting that value. Can we recreate the relationship? Can we make changes? Right? If, for example, in terms of relationships, for you, romantic relationships, for you, um, there's a value related to creating a family, having kids, etc. That's something that you can talk to the other person. That's something that you can discuss since the beginning. But it's relevant to be surrounded with people that respect your values, and then that have values in common with you. Because if not, then you will feel drained. And then you will feel that they will not respect the person that you are. So the homework is to write a list with all your values. And then if someone is not respecting those values, you can set a boundary. That's a sign. That's a red flag, right? That will trigger action. Then the third key is that it's relevant to be committed to change. And what do I mean with this? Being a people pleaser, if you are one, is something that maybe started during your childhood when you were a teenager in a moment of your life in which you felt very, very unsafe, right? If today you will break with the pattern, you are going to experience that you are not safe. Because actually, what you will have to face are the emotions that you were not able to face or process in the past. So, the first time that you set a boundary is going to be hard, it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult, but maybe the second time will be a little less tough. right? And then the third time is going to be a little less tough. And that's how it works. But at the beginning, it's going to be hard. You will struggle, and you need to know that. And taking action is the only thing that will like make you feel that you can, and confirm that setting boundaries is something possible for you. If you postpone it, or you say that you're going to do it later, and you decide to start in the future, etc., and you don't communicate your needs, then the next time you will face the same emotion. So you will have the same temptation. I would like to be very, very clear on that. Okay? Then stop taking ownership of other people's reactions. There's something really interesting with this point, which is what Brenda mentioned, associated to feeling the emotions of other people and wanting to take care of other people. And what I've noticed at work is the following: understanding that pain is a part of life. And we as humans will always experience pain, always. So maybe there's a part of you that's wanting to protect the other person, and you don't want them to experience pain, and you don't want them to experience specific emotions, but that's how life is. So actually, you will not be able to protect people from experiencing emotions. That will keep happening. And sometimes what people need to feel in order to grow is to experience emotions that are tough. So you are not responsible of other people's reactions. They will have their own journeys, their own experiences. They are going to struggle. It's going to be hard for them. And it's not your mission to make their life easy. Actually, pain is a part of life. You will experience your own pain too, and you will have to develop resources and skills to move on. They are going to struggle with the same. And if you are always there trying to make them happy and make them to like avoid those feelings or experiences, probably you will not help them to develop skills and being resourceful people in the future. I don't know if I answered or I added to your comment, Brenda.
No, I mean, yes, you did answer the question. And I think, I mean, that's right on, like what you said. I also think it's almost like too, it kind of brings me back to one of my girlfriends had a baby, and her baby, um, we were talking, and she's like, and I never heard this concept before, but she's like, we were talking about letting a baby cry because that was one of the hardest things when my kids were babies. And she's like, oh, they have to learn to self-soothe. She called it self-soothe. And I was like, I'd never heard of that before. And she's like, yeah, they have to learn to do that because if you don't learn those skills when you're little, it's very hard when you get older. And I'm like, so true. Everybody has to learn their own skills of being able to bring themselves to, a more calm level of like not having to have someone else there to do it for them. So yes, you're right. Like you're making the situation worse by trying to do things for them whenever they need to learn. They need to learn to do it themselves.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Then, next key, learn what love means to you. As I told you, some of us confuse love or being loved with being accepted, with approval, right? With people agreeing with us. And maybe that's not what love is, actually. Maybe love is to give ourselves to someone, but sometimes disagreeing, sometimes not approving them, sometimes rejecting them, and that's fine. And not because someone rejects you, that means that you're not safe. Actually, they could be rejecting you as a way to protect you. So that's the next key. And the last key is to learn your rights and own them. And what I mean with your rights is like you have the right, or you can have the right to change your opinion, to communicate your needs. And if someone is not able to understand that, I don't know if those are the people that you want to be in your life, actually. I don't know if you want to be surrounded with people that don't respect your value. I don't know if you want to be surrounded with people that don't respect your needs, that don't pay attention to your needs, right? And sometimes, for example, I have had clients that are bariatric patients that struggle with communicating what they need after surgery to their families, right? And sometimes the family don't understand. And sometimes they do that because they don't have, like, I would say, the knowledge about the process that they would require. But sometimes they don't respect the values of the person. And I think that in those cases, there's a deep conversation that is needed. And my invitation for you is to have those conversations, to maybe experience that emotion that will be uncomfortable, but redesigning the relationship. Because if not, as we discussed in the past, you will be saving resentment. And then you will pay the price in the long run. Okay? So that's basically, those are the keys. And I would like to ask if we have any questions. Brenda.
I'm unmuting myself.
Yes.
I don't see any questions. If anybody has any on Facebook, let us know. If anybody has any here in our forum on Crowdcast, let us know. I don't see any right now. So I'd say just kind of keep going.
Okay, perfect. So we are getting close to the end of this presentation. That's my Instagram account, Rodolfo Alverez X. So if you would like to learn more about how to stop being a people pleaser or about other contents related to personal growth, you can follow me. Actually, if you scan that QR code, you will be redirected to my Instagram account. And then if some of you were listening to this workshop, to this class, and for you, this topic was something that made you a lot of sense and is something that you would like to work on, I'll be glad to help you. Actually, I have an instance, an activity, which is called a discovery session. What's a discovery session? It's a session in which we will get together and work one-on-one. And if, for example, you are a people pleaser or you have any other limiting pattern that you would like to break, I will guide you through a process to understand your pattern and go to the roots of that pattern. And I will detect with you the thoughts that are triggering this reaction and in which moments those thoughts and those beliefs were built. So, if some of you would be interested in working with me, you can schedule your discovery session. And in that session, we could check if we are a good fit. Actually, what I'm going to do is to share the link to schedule a discovery session. If some of you would be interested in working with me. That's the link. And if you can't see the link, you can follow me on Instagram and send me a DM on Instagram, and I will send you the link by Instagram. That's another possibility. Yes.
I am copying that and I'm putting it on Facebook right now too, Rodolfo. Rodolfo, so like I feel like there's nothing more important than bringing awareness to some of these things in our life that can hold us back and not make us be the most powerful person that we could be. And so like it can affect like we talked about, it can affect every single hour like level of your being just by changing even just one minor thing like that. It's just incredible. So I'm gonna put this is on. I'll put this is a link to your Instagram account. This link.
No, the link is the link to schedule the discovery session. Yes. So if they click the link, then they will be able to schedule a discovery session with me, which is the session in which I will guide them through discover the roots of the limiting pattern and the thoughts that they developed in those moments. Yes.
And Rodolfo, I've heard some incredible things of people who've worked with you and have had some amazing results. So kudos. I wouldn't have anybody on this program unless I totally believed in things that you could do. So appreciate you sharing that. And I feel like too, the Rodolfo, who would be your, like, besides besides anxiety management, who is your ideal clients? Who are the people that you work with every day? So they can
So,
identify themselves.
yeah, people that are facing some limitations, okay, and that they want to break through them. That's what I would say. And they are really committed to make a change. And these limitations could be, for example, being a people pleaser and wanting to get rid of that pattern. Or it could be, I'm facing anxiety and I don't know how to manage the emotion. Or it could be, I'm experiencing emotional eating and I want to stop being an emotional eating. So if there's something related to emotions, insecurity, voice, lacks, I think that those are my clients. Yeah, totally. Like what I will do with them is help them to add a new mindset and change the perspective that they have, that are the ones that are producing the blockages, actually. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. And guys, we have his link up here. All you have to do is take your camera. You can go to Rodolfo's his Instagram account. If you
Yes.
wasn't able to take if you're on your cell phone, and you're not able to take a picture as we're doing it, or you can go Rodolfo. You also have a website too, don't you?
Yes. Yes. They have a website. Give me 1 second because I can share the website with you.
Okay.
Yes. They can send me a message by the website too if they want. Give me 1 second. That's my website.
Okay, and I'll copy that over to Facebook as well, that those people that are watching there can have that as well. So at the end of these, we've been kind of doing a little shout out to not only our speakers, but also to ProCare, which is our sponsor. And today I've been doing these we call them question answer little statements. And so I have one today, and I'm gonna bring up my share screen. I'm gonna share it here real quickly. And it's just kind of a graphic that I'm gonna be sharing. So you're gonna see me pop on there and actually have two graphics here. The first one it says is my vitamin D3 level is low. Does ProCare offer supplements to help with this? How many people out there have had this issue? I feel like it's one of the most common
Me, I
issues.
had
Have you had the same, Rodolfo?
yeah, actually, I ran some tests like in I don't know June, and my D vitamin levels were low. Yes,
Do you take a supplement to help with
yes, actually, that
vitamin D?
was part of the treatment. I had to take a supplement like for a specific amount of time, and actually, right now I should get tested again. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I feel like it's one of the most common things among people. I feel like whenever I was working in the bariatric surgery clinic, before I came full time with ProCare, we monitored every single person's vitamin D level before surgery just to kind of get a baseline and then after. And I'd say, I mean, I don't know, we never did a percentage, but I'd say at least 80% of people were deficient in vitamin D3. I feel like it's just very, very common.
Mhm.
With ProCare does offer several different options, and we don't always talk about all the other vitamins that we offer through our website, besides just our bariatric multivitamins. But we do offer 10,000 IU soft gels. We offer 5,000 IU soft gels, 5,000 IU chewables, and our calcium soft chews also have 500 IUs of vitamin D3 in them too. I'm actually going to just stop sharing just for a second, and I'm going to actually show on our website how people can check that out if that's something they're interested in. So I'm going to pull it up here first um, before I get there. And I'm going to share my screen once again and show people where they can find that. So if you guys go to ProCare, it's procarenow.com. I'll put the link in the chat box here in just a second. I'll copy it just so I have it. And you'll find Under products here, under vitamins and minerals is our vitamin D supplements. And if you kind of scroll, this page has where they're listed. We have the vitamin D3, 10,000 IU, 5,000, and then here another 5,000. And then they come in the chewable soft gels, depending on what you're kind of looking for. And they're fairly, I mean, I feel like they're fairly pretty inexpensive. I mean, this one starts at $16.87, here $13.65 and $13.79. So it depends on what level, how low your level is, and how much extra you need to take. When you're talking about our calcium supplementation, guys, calcium, if you take calcium and vitamin D together, it can help with the vitamin D absorption as well. So all of our calcium supplements, like our dinner mint, cinnamon roll, sea salted caramel, that are right here. And then down here are mocktails. They all have vitamin D in them as well. So 500 milligrams of calcium and 500 milligrams of vitamin D as well. So it just depends on if your level, how low it is. Like this is kind of more of a maintenance level. If you were taking your calcium, but if your level is low and you need additional supplementation on top of that, that's where you'll find these additional products here that I was talking about, the soft gels and the chewables. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I'll share the link here in the chat box.
Great.
So,
yeah, vitamin D is so important.
It's one of those things that if you don't always know that you feel bad unless
unless you don't have it, and then you pay the price.
And then once that you start getting your levels back in check, and it makes such a difference. What I will say is, for some people, vitamin D being low can affect anxiety. It can actually affect depression. So yeah, it can affect a lot of different things. It comes in the form of sunlight. Like sunlight is an adjunct, and a lot of us, especially we're getting into the fall and winter months, we may not be outside as much. So it's a little bit more riskier to have a vitamin D level low during those periods of time. But I'm going to copy and paste that on our Facebook page. We have that there. And so I think we're coming to an end. Does anybody else, Lindsay says same exact issue. Yeah, I feel like it's very common. Anybody else have that problem? Let us know, because it is something pretty, something that a lot of people have and maybe not even know. Especially, I would just recommend if you're a bariatric surgery patient and you've not had your vitamin labs checked, especially if you're far out post-op. Most people during that first year will have them checked at different increments, and vitamin D is one of the normal ones that is checked. When you get further out, like a year out, I'm 10 years out. So for me, I just had my vitamin labs checked here recently, and all of them were good. So I'm really excited about that. But it's definitely something to kind of keep an eye on. Because like Rodolfo said, you can learn that it's low, but if you treat yourself and you never have it rechecked, it's sometimes hard to know if you're kind of combating those issues. So anyways, well, thank you, Rodolfo, and thank you everyone who's out there listening to us today. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll be continuing these lives. Our next one's next Tuesday. If you're wanting to see Rodolfo even more, stay with us, because we have several more things set up. Also, go to if you haven't followed our Crowdcast channel yet, basically, if you follow us, what happens is you actually get access, a little email that comes through and reminds you whenever we're going live. I'm going to paste that. We just entered into a new channel. Rodolfo has done, you think this is your third or fourth one with us, episode of?
It could be the fourth one, I think. Yeah, fourth.
So, yes, and we have all of his previous episodes, guys, on our channel. So go there, check that out, because you can listen to some of the other different episodes that we've done with Rodolfo. And stay tuned. If you follow us, you'll see new episodes coming up as well, because we'll be doing some different things. I was just requesting from him today about a December event that we're doing together. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and have a most marvelous afternoon.
Thank
Bye,
you. And thanks for the
Rodolfo. Thank
opportunity.
you.
Let's keep in touch. Bye.
Yes, we definitely